My name is Julia Foster. I'm 32, and for the past 2 years, I've been with Alex, charming, frustratingly handsome, and utterly convincing when he wants to be. We were at a friend's birthday party, one of those loud, chaotic gatherings where music isn't music, it's a headache. The kind of party I usually avoid. But I went anyway because Alex wanted me there. The night started innocuously, small talk, drinks that tasted more like sugar than alcohol, and people clustering in corners as if afraid to be alone. Then came the game. Truth or dare. I hate truth or dare. Always have. It's a lie disguised as fun, a social HR nightmare. But Alex laughed along, pushing me to join, and when the bottle spun and landed on him, I knew instantly this wouldn't end quietly. He turned to the group and smiled, the kind of smile that suggests mischief, charm, and danger all at once. Then it happened. He kissed another woman. 15 seconds. Not a polite, awkward peck, not a game show kiss. A deliberate, open-mouthed kiss that made my stomach twist and my world slow down. The woman's name was Lily, 28, an art grad student Alex had been studying with, or so he claimed. There was something practiced about her ease, the way she leaned into him, how her fingers rested on his shoulders like this had happened before. I didn't scream. I didn't storm off. I didn't accuse. I stayed seated, my body still, my mind calculating. "It's just a game," he whispered later when we were alone, eyes wide, almost pleading. "Don't be insecure." I smiled, a real, calm, controlled smile that surprised even me. "Hope you enjoy the game," I said softly. His face fell. That wasn't the reaction he expected. He wanted anger, drama, a scene he could twist to paint me as unreasonable. He didn't get it. The rest of the night passed in muted colors. The music throbbed in my skull, but it felt distant, as if I were observing life through a foggy window. On the drive home, Alex tried small talk. I didn't respond. When he asked if I was mad, I shook my head. "No," I said, "just tired." That night, while he slept beside me, I didn't close my eyes. I thought about patterns, about numbers, about everything he hadn't noticed in our 2 years together. As an analyst by trade, ignoring anomalies isn't an option. You audit the spreadsheet, check every line. And so I did. The first morning he left for work, I checked the details. Phone bills, messages, call logs. Not for curiosity's sake, but for clarity. And I found it. Lily. 1,482 messages in 1 month alone. More than me, more than anyone. A casual kiss at a party had been the visible tip of an iceberg. I felt my blood cool, not anger, ice, betrayal, calculation. Then I remembered Renee, Alex's ex-girlfriend. He painted her as a controlling, jealous woman who couldn't let him breathe. I wondered if this, what I had just witnessed, was déjà vu. The same patterns, the same manipulation. I reached out to Clara, Renee's older sister. She agreed to meet me, sharp, no nonsense, the kind of woman who could cut through lies like a scalpel. Over coffee, she laid it out. Alex was systematic. He found a stable, supportive partner, moved in, made them comfortable, then built the next relationship under the guise of friendship, while painting the current partner as irrational or controlling. He'd done it to Renee. He was doing it to me. My stomach turned. Not just betrayal, but strategy, manipulation, and control layered on top. The game at the party hadn't been innocent. It had been a preview, a test. How far could he push me? I left the coffee shop with a sense of purpose, cold and precise. Revenge wasn't my first thought, but clarity was. I needed to understand every step, every lie, every pattern before making a move. Alex thought he was in control. He had no idea the storm he'd kissed awake. That night, he came home humming, chopping vegetables, his ease like a costume he wore to hide his misdeeds. He leaned in to kiss me. I didn't pull away, but I didn't kiss back. "Are you still weird about the party?" he asked. "No," I said. I had a plan. I was just waiting for the right moment. The kiss was the opening scene of a drama only I could direct, and I was ready. The morning after the party, the apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. Alex had left early for work, blissfully unaware of the storm that had already begun in my mind. I sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, phone in hand, a notebook beside me. Every detail mattered. Every number. every text, every subtle shift in his behavior over the last 2 years. I wasn't being petty. I was auditing the life we had built together. The phone records were the first confirmation. Lily. Not just the party kiss. The messages were constant, daily, sometimes dozens in a single day. There were times when Alex would study with her or grab coffee that lined up perfectly with nights he claimed were for us. My heart didn't thump. It sank into ice. Betrayal like this isn't dramatic. It's surgical, precise, methodical. I needed context, someone who knew his history. Clara, Renee's sister, seemed the obvious choice. I sent a message, careful, polite, neutral. Hi, Clara. My name is Julia. I'm dating Alex. I believe I need to talk to you about his past relationships. 10 minutes later, coffee tomorrow? The next morning, we met at a small, quiet cafe. Clara was exactly as I imagined. Sharp, no nonsense, eyes that missed nothing. She didn't wait for pleasantries. Let me guess, she said, setting down her black coffee without a sip. He told you Renee was controlling, jealous, impossible? I nodded. She leaned forward. And now you're the controlling one? The same script, word for word? I swallowed. It's the same pattern. Clara outlined it with surgical precision. Alex targets supportive, grounded partners, people who invest, who care, who provide stability. He moves in, earns trust, and slowly builds a second connection under the guise of friendship or mentorship. The first partner becomes the villain in every story, painted as irrational or obsessive, while he is the charming victim. He did it to Renee for 6 months before she finally broke away. And now? I asked, my voice low. He's doing it with Lily, Clara said, swirling her coffee. He's testing you the way he tested her. He wants to see how much you'll take before you push back. That kiss wasn't an accident. It was a rehearsal, a public display of dominance. My stomach tightened. I had thought I was seeing a slip, a mistake. Now I realized it was a blueprint. Every inconsistency, every lie, every late-night text was part of a pattern meticulously designed to trap me. I spent the following days in quiet observation. I tracked his messages, mapped the timelines of his study sessions, compared his explanations with receipts, social media posts, and location tags. It was overwhelming, but it also clarified everything. His life was a web, and I was starting to see every thread. Alex came home one evening, humming, smelling faintly of Lily's perfume. He leaned over the counter to kiss me. I didn't move. He froze. Julia, what's wrong? Nothing, I said, my voice calm. My eyes didn't leave his. I'm watching you, I wanted to say. Everything. He smiled nervously, a small twitch in his jaw betraying him. He hadn't realized how completely I'd caught on. Clara and I continued our discussions. She gave me insight into his methods, the emotional gaslighting, the small manipulations, the strategic framing. He was dangerous not because he was overtly cruel, but because he was invisible in his cruelty. A whisper here, a sly omission there, a kiss at a party, but always plausible, always deniable. Do you think he knows you're onto him? Clara asked one afternoon, sharp eyes studying me over the rim of her mug. No, I admitted. Not yet, and that's how it stays. I don't want to play the same game. I want to end it on my terms. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of control. The storm hadn't broken. It was building, gathering energy. Every late-night message, every subtle lie, every small act of manipulation was a piece of evidence. Alex thought he was leading the narrative, but I was writing the next chapter. The next week, I followed him one evening when he claimed he was studying with friends. Sure enough, Lily. Not studying, not friends. Close, intimate conversations, shared drinks, flirtations thinly veiled as casual talk. I took careful notes, photos, screenshots, every proof I could gather without alerting him. The most dangerous thing about Alex was his confidence in his own invisibility. He assumed I was naive, that I would dismiss my doubts, that I would forgive a kiss, rationalize a lie, and continue loving him blindly. He didn't understand that when someone pays attention to patterns, they see everything, the architecture of deceit, the hidden calculus. By the end of the week, I had enough to paint a portrait of him that even he couldn't manipulate. 1,482 messages, hidden meetings, his precise, predictable cycle of charm and betrayal. It wasn't just infidelity, it was a system, a strategy. Clara leaned back in her chair as I laid it out for her one evening. You're not imagining it. This isn't paranoia. He's a predator in relationships, and you're already seeing the blueprint. I felt a mixture of dread and exhilaration. The pieces fit. Everything clicked. The kiss wasn't a mistake. It was an opening salvo, and now, armed with knowledge and observation, I could start planning the next move. This wasn't about revenge yet. Not fully. This was about understanding, about building a strategy. Alex had underestimated me, as he had underestimated every partner before, and he would regret it. The engagement party was the perfect stage. Alex had invited me with a casual, careless charm, oblivious to the fact that I now saw every detail of his life. The music thrummed through the room, the chatter swirled around me, but I felt almost outside it, like a director watching a scene unfold. I arrived early, dressed simply yet deliberately, a sleek black dress, muted jewelry, hair pulled back to show my face, my eyes alert. Clara was already there, blending seamlessly into the crowd, her presence like a shadow I could lean on. Alex didn't notice at first. He was distracted by friends, laughing too loudly, checking his phone. But then he did, and the moment his eyes met mine, something shifted. He saw composure where he expected agitation, calm where he anticipated jealousy. I whispered to Clara, "Everything is in place." Clara nodded, her lips tight. We had spent days planning, not just to expose Alex, but to do it elegantly, publicly, and irrefutably. Every screenshot, every photo, every message was ready, every detail mapped. He would crumble without realizing it was a trap until the moment he fell. Alex floated through the party like a shark, smiling, charming, unaware of the audience waiting for his next move. Lily was there too, looking radiant in a pale dress, chatting with mutual friends, clearly unaware that she was about to be a supporting character in someone else's story. I let him approach me. I smiled, warm and unassuming. "Alex, you look happy." He grinned, leaning in. "And you? Everything okay?" "Everything is more than okay," I thought. "I'm exactly where I need to be." The subtle signals began. A glance here, a pointed comment there. I mentioned casually something I overheard about Lily. His reaction was instantaneous, too sharp, too quick. He tried to mask it, but the flicker in his eyes betrayed him. He was on notice, but he didn't know why. The first ripple of the plan took shape when I spotted a mutual friend holding a phone, taking candid photos. I maneuvered carefully, ensuring every image that might catch Alex in compromising behavior or misaligned expressions was captured. Clara provided calm guidance. Let him make the mistakes. Don't push. Watch him unravel. Then it happened. A conversation between Alex and Lily in a quiet corner, flirtatious, intimate. I approached, casual, friendly, Clara beside me, radiating quiet authority. Alex's face shifted as recognition dawned. He knew her. He knew I knew. "Alex," I said, lightly touching his arm. "You've been keeping busy." Lily turned, confusion flickering. "Oh, Julia," she started, but I didn't wait. "I think we need to catch up on all the stories you've been spinning," I said. My tone was calm, even cheerful, but under it, there was steel. Alex tried charm first. "It's nothing, just friends, just, studying." I smiled, deliberately slow, deliberately unshaken. Studying, right. Across the room, Clara's eyes locked with mine. Every piece was moving into place. Alex's confidence wavered, imperceptibly at first, then more noticeably as he realized the web of observation he had never accounted for. The guests around us began to notice the tension, the subtle shift in energy. What had been a casual engagement party was now a stage, and Alex, the proud manipulator, was the protagonist of his own unraveling. I didn't need to speak loudly. Every gesture, every glance, every carefully positioned ally around me conveyed what words could not. The truth of his deceit was here, public, visible, irrefutable. And the best part? Alex didn't see it coming, not a hint. By the end of the night, he was sweating under invisible pressure, fumbling explanations, trying to recover, while I maintained perfect calm. Every lie he told collided with proof I had quietly gathered. Every gesture he made to charm his way out failed. I left the party knowing the storm had begun. The pieces were falling, and Alex was powerless to stop them. The plan was working perfectly, but I didn't gloat. Not yet. I savored control, precision, and the quiet knowledge that I had finally seen the full scope of his manipulation. That knowledge was mine alone, and when the final confrontation came, it would be spectacular. The following week was tense. Alex was unusually quiet, tentative, as if sensing the walls closing in, but unsure from which direction the threat would arrive. He continued his daily routines, smiled at friends, and spoke with Lily like nothing had changed, but I could see the cracks forming, tiny fissures of anxiety in his otherwise composed facade. The night I chose for the confrontation was a mutual friends cocktail event, crowded and loud, perfect for subtle theater. Clara and I arrived early, casually blending into the chatter, our expressions calm. The plan was simple. Let Alex build his false narrative, then quietly, efficiently dismantle it. He spotted me first. His smile was too broad, forced. Lily trailed slightly behind, oblivious. Alex approached, still trying to charm, to normalize, to control the narrative before it slipped from his grasp. "Julia, you made it," he said, his tone too bright, overly casual. "Of course," I replied, soft, measured. I let my eyes linger on him a second too long. I was just catching up with friends. He didn't notice Clara slipping behind him. She was a silent shadow, invisible yet integral. As the evening progressed, I began weaving the web. I made casual references to things only someone aware of his patterns would know. Subtle mentions of dates and study sessions that didn't exist, small hints about messages, whispered comments about text volumes. Alex's confidence began to falter. His charm felt forced, brittle. Then, the pivot. I asked Alex to join me in the lounge, seemingly privately. A few friends followed casually, drawn by the subtle tension, unaware of the script I was directing. Once isolated, I began. "Alex, do you remember Lily?" I asked. Light, almost conversational. "Yes." His tone was cautious. "She's been very present lately," I said, tapping a small tablet I held discreetly. Screenshots, timestamps, photos, all evidence I had meticulously gathered. Almost as present as you've been telling everyone you're not involved. Alex's lips tightened. He tried to laugh it off, nervously, attempting to charm. "Julia, it's nothing. You're making a big deal." I interrupted, calm, precise. "No. This is exactly the kind of thing I've been observing for weeks. The patterns, the texts, the lies. I know everything, and it doesn't stop there." Clara stepped forward, calm but assertive. "We've reviewed everything. The dates, the timelines, every story he told about loyalty, about honesty, false. Every interaction you've witnessed here, Alex, can now be verified." A hush fell over the small crowd. Guests exchanged glances. The energy shifted. Alex was trapped in plain sight, every excuse colliding with proof he couldn't manipulate away. Lily's face drained of color. She understood suddenly she was part of a much larger revelation. Alex tried one last maneuver. Charm, gaslight, denial. But it was futile. Each sentence he spoke met its counterpoint in concrete evidence. The room felt smaller, tighter, the air sharp with tension and disbelief. By the end of the evening, Alex was sweating, flushed, exposed. His usual mask of control shattered, replaced by panic, guilt, and the stark realization that the manipulations that had gone undetected for years were now laid bare before everyone he knew. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to cry. Calm, composed, I watched as the man who had tried to orchestrate my life and manipulate my trust stumbled in front of his own audience. Justice wasn't in vengeance. It was in clarity, visibility, truth. Later that night, I sat quietly with Clara, sipping wine in a dimly lit corner. "It's done," I said softly. Clara nodded. "He won't recover quickly. He won't forget this." "No," I agreed, "and neither will I. But I've regained something more than revenge. I've regained control, and that's mine alone." The world outside felt sharper, clearer. The games he played, the lies, the manipulations, they no longer held power over me. I had seen the blueprint, exposed it, and survived intact. And in that survival, I found something far more satisfying than triumph: peace.